Welcome to the Her Story Circle podcast, the podcast that brings you the extraordinary tales of everyday women who are changing the world. I'm your host, Gertrude Mache, and I'd like to acknowledge traditional custodians of the land on which we meet today. I also like to pay my respects to elders, past, present, and emerging. Every week, we dive into the lives, challenges, and triumphs of women from all four corners of the globe. We're here to inspire, enlighten, and connect, sharing stories that uplift and empower. So grab a cup of coffee, settle in, and join us as we explore the incredible journeys of women shaping our future. This is Her Story, where every woman's voice matters. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Her Story Circle. This is Gertrude Mache here in beautiful Melbourne, Australia. And today I am graced with the presence of yet another fascinating young woman. Welcome, welcome, welcome to our tribe. Please tell everybody your full name, where you're based, and share your story with us today.
Thank you so much for having me, and thank you for the lovely introduction. So I'm Carolina Stukenberg. I'm a woman's transformologist with a methodology called Creatrix. Now, currently I'm in Cape Town, South Africa. I'm normally living in Mexico at this stage. And, I have been working with health and nutrition and food for the last 10 years. And I've adventured around the world, and really I was on a search for real healing. Like every time I would see people get better, I was like, there's something about this. And I think through growing up with my brother who was autistic, that really opened my mind from a young age. But as life went on, life happens and things go wrong sometimes. And I was definitely left with traumas, certain types of stress responses, over emotionalizing, really struggling with, anxiety, negative self-talk, and just very low self-worth as years piled on. And I think many women can relate to this. And so over the years, I seem to get progressively worse. And, I really got into gut health, probiotics, the gut-brain connection, and worked as a health coach, and I still do, with women, detoxing and upgrading their metabolism, but also resetting their gut. And along that journey, what I found also for myself as well as for other women out there was that some of them were like myself, getting stuck in a place where you can do everything right. You can eat all the broccoli and eat super healthy and do all the exercise and do all the things and still not have success. And it came down to this connection with the gut-brain axis. And then when I found Creatrix, doing healing of blocks that get stuck in us. And I had blocks, I had traumas, I had things that it was hard to forgive or to let go, or worried about being judged and criticized, or so anxious, literally waking up in panic attacks after a very, very bad divorce with a narcissist that was extreme. I don't even want to get into the story. But it had such an amazing impact in my life and my health. And then when I got into it, I realized, look what it was doing for other women. I was like, that's it. This has become the greatest love of my life, because it was fast. I didn't have to talk about all the trauma, and I could get that deep, profound wisdom on so many levels that ripples out in the rest of my life, and realize the impact this has for so many women out there. So moms, entrepreneurs, businesswomen, you name it. This is so transformative for women out there who are just feeling stuck or broken, or like nothing's worked for them and are fed up with talk therapy. So that's me, and that's really what I'm here to share with women and give them hope.
So as a retired chef and health coach for women, can you share your personal journey to discovering the importance of gut health and how it has influenced your approach to weight loss and overall well-being?
Great question. And thank you for actually asking that. So gut health it's something that's definitely come up in the news for a lot of people. You're probably seeing a lot more articles on it. And the research is now been developing over the last about really in depth for the last 10 years. And what's more to that is women studies in terms of the neural pathways and connected with gut and our specific hormone responses has also been coming to the fore in the last 6-7 years. And studies have shown that women respond completely differently to stress in the body, and that affects the gut. So like for an example, when men experience stress, their response is normally quite an enthusiastic one. They get empowered by facing stress to take action, to do something. Whereas with women, they studied on the brain, the physical brain, putting stress hormones onto it, how it would fizzle like acid. And so what happens in our brain is it starts to activate the oxytocin, which is our love chemical. And that would be to suppress the stress. Now, what nobody's talking about here until very recently is all of this communication is then connected with your gut. So we've heard of fight or flight. Now, if you're in permanent stress and you're running on overdrive and the oxytocin is trying to calm down the stress and your hormones get depleted and you're a woman, it's going to shut down your entire gut system and your metabolism. And so these women then suffer other ailments down the line, metabolic issues, chronic, disease and health issues. They might have hair loss, stress, skin issues. I mean, one of the women with rosacea, skin issue was severe, and she'd been to doctors for years, and then she did this Creatrix. So imagine this, beyond all the nutrition advice and all the doctors that she'd been through, it was the Creatrix that finally gave her the stress relief and to reset her response to the world around her. And recovering from her narcissistic abuse relationship, in a sense, that's kind of where it stemmed from, affected her so much that it changed her gut microbiome, and then she could really heal. And so over the last, I think it's just been 8 months, she's seen such a change. And so often when I speak to women about their gut health, I'm not just looking at like, okay, how regular is your poop? What do you eat? What's your nutrition? I'm also going to talk about, where's your mind? Where's your emotions? How do you feel about yourself? Do you talk well to yourself? Because when we are not okay there, that blocks everything else from happening. Now, so interesting enough, like our happy hormone, serotonin, our normal happy hormone, not oxytocin, that's supposed to come out when we give birth or something to really bond, that is 90 or if not more produced in the gut. So if you have bad gut, leaky gut, parasites, or things that most doctors are not going to look into, not having regular poops, maybe your urine is a really bad color, we need to look into those things. And so we start to unravel the knotted wool to rewire everything from the right place. And so it's really a deep discovery when I go into having a conversation, and I specifically deal with women because our hormones respond so differently, and because I am a woman and I know we function differently. There's so much to that I could go on. I actually have a whole webinar on it on my site, just to explain the female factor, what makes us so different.
So how does the gut-brain connection impact women's weight loss and mental health? And can you explain the science behind this connection and its significance?
Absolutely. So I guess there's different ways to look at it, or different aspects. So looking at one of my clients, for example, a very stressed mom, working really hard, running her kids to school, cooking dinner every day, doing the whole nine, doing all the things. And in her perspective, she was living just fine. But physically, she was stressed. And so after having, in her case, let's say 2 cesareans and the long-term stress of mothering, being a wife, working, doing all the things, her motility started shutting down. So the motility is when you chew food and you swallow, how is it moving through then your gut system? And so again, this goes back to that fight or fight mode. If you are constantly in that state, it's shutting it down. And if that's shutting down, the way food is moving down, it gets stuck, it gets plugged, it can ferment, it can cause gases that are really bad for us and create what we call gut dysbiosis. And then you're going to have bad bacteria dominating your gut, or you might have parasites going in there that start to, it's quite terrible, but these worms like drill holes through your gut lining and destroy that barrier that keeps us healthy, that's there to absorb these nutrients. And so that starts this vicious cycle. Now everything's shut down. It's overpopulated with bad bacteria and fungi. Things are rotting in there. Things are not going well. Things are getting stuck. That's now going to affect later down the line the information that your gut is going to send to your brain in terms of what hormones to produce. All right. So now you're not going to feel so great. You're going to have foggy mind. You're not going to have clarity. You might feel anxious, more anxious than usual. And they've studied this, like with the microbiome study in fecal matter, how certain microbes in our system demonstrate certain things that affect us. Now, on another level, okay, when that goes further and this vicious cycle starts, now you might think you're eating healthy, but you're now not absorbing these nutrients because everything's shut down. And that further exasperates the issue. And so women generally, because we do hold more fat than men, but when we go into panic state, in shock or in flight mode, okay, things stop functioning. And then they'll go and try something like the keto diet, which I'm a big fan of if it's used in the right circumstances. But if you're a woman who's had or lives in constant high level stress, even if it's your normal, doesn't mean your body is not feeling that stress, then doing something like ketosis can really cause more stress and anxiety. And I've seen women that say, oh, I had amazing results for 2 weeks or a month, and then the results stop. And then it actually gets worse because what they're doing is stressing the body. And so that's where the cortisol, the stress hormones, again, stop the body from being able to receive nutrients. And so this connection with the brain of telling it, I'm happy and satisfied, or it's not understanding because it's actually saying to the brain, I'm malnourished. I'm actually feeling like I'm still starving. So, you'll see women when they get moody or sad, they want to eat, depending on if it's anguish or anxiety, whichever, they have a certain type of behavioral type with the food that you're going to crave. So that's to give you an example.
So how do you manage your weight in your 40s and 50s as a health conscious woman without spending hours in the gym? And what are some practical tips that you can offer to others looking to achieve similar results?
Oh, I love this. I mean, I talk about this all the time, so I'm a big fan. So I'm in my 40s. I'm at my ideal weight. I don't go hard to the gym every day, but I do work out regularly. I do believe consistency is key. But I think of all the things that I've learned along the way, if I have to give women advice out there, is that our bodies do change when we get older. We want to keep it detoxed and clean, right? So it's functioning. We want to keep our metabolism running. We don't want to put it on pause. We don't want to slow it down or speed it up too much. We want to find that homeostasis. And when you really treat your gut, this means eating in a way that supports it. And I actually have a whole book I call The Happy Gut Guide, where I go in depth, about everything that affects your gut. And so there I start looking at, and I'll think of some examples now off the top of my head, but I go into, eating good, clean, whole food. Really, eating home good, clean food is imperative. If you look at the ingredients of products, you'll see there's chemicals in there. And those chemicals, those things that aren't natural, are going to affect your microbiome. They're going to affect your gut. They're going to affect your metabolism, and it's going to start shutting things down, which could be the cause of some issues. I've met women who had metal toxicity from the pans they were using that were cut up, and these chemicals feeding through the food, feeding through the oil, then gets in your body and causes dysbiosis. So when we eat clean, really clean, removing all those things and going back to eating naturally. It's like I'd say to my friends' kids, you wouldn't feed your dog chocolate if you knew it was going to make him sick. No. Well, I wouldn't do the same to a human. So the older we get, the cleaner we need to eat. Whole food. For women specifically, women are so focused on eating less carbs and getting more protein or being completely vegan. And I think for me, the thing is to get a good dose of fiber, and fiber in all its forms. So don't vilify fiber in an orange or in a fruit, because it's natural fiber that comes with the sugar. Okay. And that means it's processed slower through your body. And so it's good to eat whole foods, an apple versus the apple juice. But then there's also fiber in potatoes and broccoli and greens and all the other good things. And sprouts are my favorite, the most nutritious food in the world, that help to feed the microbiome, are super nutritious, keep you cleaned out, and that's going to help your hormones balance, even in your 40s. So for women going through menopause, this really becomes so important, or premenopause, to be able to look after your diet in that way. And then the mental health.
Now, what are some of the common gut health issues that women face, and how can they begin to heal these issues to improve their overall health and well-being?
I think stress is the number one cause of most things, okay,
Yes.
for our health and our life. I think we can all agree on that, and women definitely express, I think in the US, where I'm primarily working with clients, is 80% of the medical market is women because of
Mhm.
hormone imbalances, skin issues. Then they get to menopause, and then, it's cancer, breast cancer, and these concerns, and everything seems to go away. If I have to cut it back down to one thing, I say go back to your gut, go back to being natural.
Mm.
I would love it for it to be cool and fashionable and so exciting to be a clean person who drinks a good amount of water and drinks probiotics and takes good care of themselves and puts themselves first. And I think that is so imperative for women. So
Yeah,
women going into this really have to sit back and go, okay, what have I thought that worked for me in my 20s, in my 30s? You've got to think differently now. Your body demands different things.
it
Um,
does.
yeah, it absolutely does. And rest is so underestimated
Important.
how powerful it is. So
Yeah.
that's another great one. Definitely get enough rest. But rest also doesn't mean just sleep. Rest means if you're an overthinker, we've got to find a way to stop overthinking and worrying and going through all of that as well. And so quieting the mind to allow the body to relax as
So,
well.
can you discuss the business opportunities available to women to own their own businesses, work from home, and empower other women? What makes a business soul aligned?
For a lot of women, and that I've met in the communities that I work with, is they want a business where, when I say soul aligned, it makes them so satisfied that they did something good. And generally speaking, the women I meet are like, I helped someone. I made someone feel better. I helped them get there. It's our nurturing nature, and they feel such a sense of real soul satisfaction. It's not necessarily the paycheck. And there's some studies to show that men are very driven by action, being rewarded, whereas women are very motivated by seeing change, by being a part of something and allowing that to flow. And then the byproduct is money, great. But it's not the money necessarily, because you can work for all the money, but it's not what makes you happy at the end of the day, right? It might fill the bank and you can buy all the things, but it doesn't satisfy your soul. And I know through my own search that was really important for me. So when I talk about a soul aligned business, that might mean a different thing for each woman. For me, through my own journey of being a health coach and a chef and getting into nutrition and precision nutrition and integrative nutrition and Creatrix, was aligning with my soul more and more as I went along. So when it comes to this space that you share with your beautiful community, I'm really saying, well, the work that I do, if you work as a psychologist or you help other women and you want to help them transform and be the best version of themselves, even in a corporate environment, we've had women who are breaking all their glass ceilings
Mm.
using Creatrix, then this is maybe a business that you want to look into, that you're going to help empower women to break those unhealthy cycles, overcome anxiety, stop the negative self-talk, break through the glass ceilings, heal physically, become the best version of themselves in a way that is actually designed for women and works with them so well. I wouldn't be here loving it up and promoting it everywhere and talking about it if it didn't change my life and that of thousands of women. And it's just so important that we know that there's an opportunity to do that. You can do it from home, from your laptop,
That's awesome.
from your heart, And so
Yeah.
that is a soul line business to me. And I hope that resonates with some of the women out there.
So, how do you help women break unhealthy cycles, overcome anxiety and negative self talk, and raise their emotional intelligence to achieve success and happiness?
Perfect. When I work with women, I do have time with them to say, okay, right, clearly you want to change. Clearly something's going on and whatever you've been doing hasn't been working. Like maybe you're speaking to psychologists, therapists, medications, you name it. You've tried hormone therapy, everything, but something's not working. You still feel stuck or broken, anxious, etc. This is the point where you go, nothing's worked, something's got to give. Then come here. What Creatrix does is, let me go back a step. Some of the behaviors we have are intergenerational, as in it's passed down from our grandmother to our mother to me. And beyond that, it's epigenetically passed down through generations. So that as well, and we're studying in science now, up to 14 generations of memories is passed through your DNA. And we are women who create babies and pass it on. So it's very important that we resolve these intergenerational cyclical patterns. Like maybe you would say, like in your family, people tend to be hypersensitive or hyper empathetic, and that's something that runs in the family. And so that actually can be a trauma response because of fear and suppression, for example. But it's so far down the line, but you're experiencing it and it's affecting your life. Now, if you're a fishbowl and that's all you've ever known, you cannot see outside the fishbowl. So where Creatrix and this modality comes in is we suspend everything in this incredibly safe space where you don't even have to talk about the issue or relive the trauma. But I guide you and you get to go in and get that deep inner wisdom. It is so powerful. You come out and you feel the sense of peace. Some people even say it's bizarre. It's even fun. And once that comes up, the realizations, it's like the fishbowl's been removed and the fish has now been put in a bigger pond. And now you have all these realizations. You see your perception of yourself, others, the world, future, everything changes. And so your response changes. You can finally make decisions from a place where you are connected to your real inner self instead of feeling lost, voiceless, stuck, broken, confused. You'll find it. And then you can take action from that place. And so that is for me, the most incredible thing that, I think most women out there don't realize. It's possible to have a conscious, committed wake-up call to a lesson you want to learn when you need to. You don't have to hope that it comes to you. You can go and get it.
So what mindset shifts are necessary for women to resolve cyclical problems and achieve lasting and profound transformation? And can you share any success stories from your coaching practice?
Okay, 2 questions there. So from my coaching practice and coming over cyclical patterns, I think from the woman that I've seen and from my own experience, to get over a cyclical pattern, you need to have a kind of resilience to keep questioning your life, keep wanting more, keep pushing the boundaries. The most ingrained beliefs in you are probably the ones that are holding you back. And those are the ones we need to go back and review and question consistently and say, okay, is this still serving me? Because that is normally where we might get stuck with cyclical patterns that happen because we learned it from our parents. We saw it in behavior. It becomes what we're comfortable with, so we seek it out. So, for example, myself, another woman, dating narcissists off the bat, like it just seems like a repeat pattern and you see it and you wonder, why do you keep choosing the same kind of people? And so it's myself and other clients as well have gone through this. When you finally reach that point of going, I am so fed up, I can't take this anymore. If I'm not doing this, something's got to give. And it's that time. It's just like, I'm so done. Enough is enough. It's that decision in your mind to no longer accept that shows you willing and ready to do whatever it takes. That means a different outcome is more valuable to you than continuing the same cycle. And some women have what I call secondary gain. And secondary gain is where you like, oh, okay, you know what? I'm going to keep this because I can keep playing victim. I can keep feeling sorry for myself. I can keep suffering and keep getting attention. And then you're not motivated enough. And so I often say to women, I think that's what's so key, is to build that inner resilience, to ask yourself, to question, to stay profound, try and connect with that inner being and ask from that place.
That's amazing. So what steps can women take to live life with uninhibited happiness, confidence, freedom, and self-worth? And how can they learn to assert themselves with healthy boundaries and let go of the past?
Yeah, beautiful. Absolutely. I think that women need to connect with other women to be able to do that. And that's what I love about the work that I do, is we connect. You have a family of women, and women thrive together.
Yes.
We need to raise each other up as queens and say, wow, if you're flying, fly with her, and support all the way, all our sisters out there across the globe, because life happens and we really need each other. We connect, we hold the family together, we pass the message on, we're storytellers, we care. So I think that's number one. Number two is to want to seek it out, go find it. It does
Mm.
exist. I think that oftentimes, even in the loneliest of situations, and I say this from myself and other women's dark places, when there's nowhere else to turn, and you just keep going in, going, oh, I'm stuck, then it's time to go out and go and exchange, go and look for that support. It does exist. And it's worth every last cent if that's all you have, because once you overcome it, everything else will flow better.
Everything falls into place.
Yeah. So it's number one. It's absolutely number one. To give you examples of ladies, sure, they're so beautiful, all these stories. I get so overwhelmingly excited after each session with women. So I'll give you one example. There was one woman that came to us. She was a mom. Her two sons were on the Asperger's spectrum, and she'd committed a lot of her time to her kids and her family and her life, and she wanted to break out. Now her kids were getting older. They actually got through school. They were getting into university, but she realized something was wrong with her, and she had this major anxiety, and she's now started getting into the workplace. She got a sales job, and she just felt out of her depth. Many, many years of being a mom. And she came with feeling absolutely bullied and rejected and abandoned and hopeless, because she just didn't have the self-confidence. She didn't have the ability to say anything because she was so worried she'd be judged or reprimanded or seen as bossy. She just wanted to be so agreeable, and very intimidated, and she would talk herself out of situations. So she came to have a session. Well, she actually came to have what we call a reset, and it's like an entire package. We have them in packages that build up through the inside and slowly expressing outwards, embodying confidence. And in her first year, she made $400,000 in sales.
Oh,
Her
wow.
anxiety went down so much. Her family was all celebrating and enjoying it. All their anxiety went down, and the doctors noticed it because it was a containing issue in the entire family.
Yeah.
In her second year, having done a whole collection of these resets, this year, and we're in July, at the beginning of July, I interviewed her. She made $1.2 million of sales
Oh,
in
wow.
7 months. And, her own boss and colleagues were like, wow, we've never seen anyone flourish like this. You've just come out of your woodwork. You really just help everyone. You do it in such a caring way. And she had such a beautiful message about being so authentic and being yourself when you care about somebody, not just selling the product, but actually taking the time to listen to them. And it
Yes.
calmed everything in her life down, and it rippled to her family. And you see her in this video where she's crying in the beginning, just wanting to be accepted and loved for who she is, because she knows she's a beautiful woman inside, to seeing her now talking to other women and inspiring them and doing the same thing. And I go, wow, I mean, that is an incredible ripple effect for an
That's so
amazing amount of women out
amazing.
there. That's just one beautiful example. I can give you so many.
That is awesome. My last two questions are a bit of a thought experiment,
Go
where I'm
ahead.
going to teleport you into the past, and we're going to go and meet the younger you, this young woman who set out into the world of business, found her passion and her vocation. If you could go back and give her 3 nuggets of wisdom based on what life has taught you up until this point, what would those 3 nuggets of wisdom be?
Profound. One, I would definitely tell little Carolina to never let go of that inner heart gut instinct feeling that she had somewhere along the line. It hurt, things hurt, and it felt safer to pack it away. It's not true. Stay with that. Never lose that in little girl whole connectedness, and celebrate that, express that. Number two, would be to tell her, not to over empathize. I think in my case, that's quite a deep one, not to over empathize with the whole world around you for acceptance. I think that is such a caring and nurturing thing, but first comes you. And when your teacup is full and it's overflowing, then you've got so much love to share and shine from a place that is so much more you than you can even imagine. Number three, take time to sit with yourself always and enjoy it. Just enjoy some alone time. I know she did and always loved it when she was younger. Somewhere along the line, she lost it. It's so important. That is the key to just keeping consistent throughout life, that relationship with yourself.
I love it. Final question. I'm going to teleport you into the future, and we are going to meet the 90-year-old you. And she's sitting in her rocking chair, surrounded by her children, her dogs, her cats, her grandchildren, whoever's with her at the end. If you could go and have a conversation with this wise woman who's led you to this point, what will you say to her when you finally meet her?
I'm so proud of you for shining your stardust into the world and making it real. Nothing in life is permanent, but the impermanence of it all is just, you've made it so valuable because it's counted for something. It's affected others, and that ripple effect is way beyond what you can even see. And that is a beautiful legacy. And the smile and the energy that you carry to inspire others, move others, despite all adversities and struggles and turmoils and things that came along the way, really showed others that if you can, they can. And that's just beautiful. Unconditional love for oneself.
I absolutely love that. Well, listen, thank you so much for coming online and sharing your wisdom with us today. I particularly like that last question because a lot of women don't realize that the wise woman is already in them. She's already here. She's that little voice that says, go left, go right, say yes, say no. But we need to trust ourselves more in knowing that we have the answers to all of the issues that you're faced with. But you have to go within. And that was your message for today. Thank you so much.
Oh, thank you. Thank you so much. And yeah, I agree. That is a beautiful message and one that I really love and am passionate about. And so honored here to share it with your lovely community.
And thank you to everybody who's tuned in today. The Her Story Circle is a social impact movement. We bring you the stories and voices of women from all over the world to uplift you, energize you, inspire you, but most importantly, to empower you with the tools to get you from where you are now to where you want to go. So tune in again tomorrow when I interview yet another amazing guest. In the meantime, have a fantastic day, morning, or evening, wherever you are in the world, and bye for now. Thanks again, Carolina.
Thank you.
Thank you for tuning into the Her Story Circle podcast. I hope today's story has inspired you to believe in the power of our stories and the difference you can make in the world when you use your voice. I'm Gertrude Mache, and it's been an honor to share this space with you, where voices from all walks of life come together to weave a rich tapestry of diverse perspectives. Don't forget to subscribe, rate, and review our podcast to help us share these stories with more listeners. Follow us on social media by looking for the Her Story Circle podcast for more updates. And join us tomorrow for another episode filled with courage, resilience, and empowerment. Remember, your story matters, and together we're building a stronger, more inclusive world. Until next time, keep making